All right, cool. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jake Bogie. I'm a cloud platform architect with Pivotal.
And I'm Ryan Nix from Amazon Web Services. I'm a senior solutions architect focusing on application platforms and hybrid solutions.
And Ryan and I decided we would come here today and kind of talk about what we're seeing customers doing with native services in Amazon and how they're leveraging the Amazon Service Broker in the Pivotal platform to give their developers a little edge in being more efficient and faster with how they develop applications.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit less hat swapping, less interface changing. How do I take the benefit of those native services through something like Pivotal Cloud Foundry in itself?
Yeah, right on. Yeah. So I thought it'd be kind of good to start off and give you guys all a little idea of like what some of the challenges are that companies are facing when they're leveraging native services through the Pivotal platform. So this isn't a problem that is indicative to each individual cloud. This is a problem that is indicative to all of the clouds.
Yeah, definitely an industry consistent challenge. And I think the biggest one there is just choice.
Yeah, I mean, really everybody's used to developing against resources that they've got on-premise in most major enterprises, and those are really, really common services that they're used to consuming, that they've got constructs and constraints that they can work within, and this move towards native services is really new, and they've just got so much choice.
Yeah, not only that, it's, you're familiar with something, you get a degree of agility through that familiarity. Now you want to explore something new that's extremely beneficial, but there's that ever so slight slowdown of me getting used to a new environment, whatever it is. So how do we shortcut that process? How do I let people experiment with something new, but in a familiar way?
And that experimentation and that getting to know something new is what makes ops teams absolutely lose their hair. Because of the fact that, like, hey, I got people that are out there poking around, doing things that they've never done before. Where's the governance? Where's the security model? How do I actually, like, make sure that they're not going to let the keys of the kingdom out into the wild?
No, absolutely. And having a look at what Pivotal and AWS are bringing to the table as an aggregate really addresses both sides of that fence. I think let's dig into some of those.
So when we kind of see some of this problem statement flipped now into an opportunity statement, we start seeing things like self-service and autonomy with a set of constructs and constraints that lead more towards that autonomy and that self-service being done in a fast manner while keeping ops teams happy.
And I think from an operational perspective, you're also seeing with these native services, I don't have to worry about provisioning storage to those systems. I have services that are built to be scalable, resilient, secure, out of the box. I don't need to design those or architect those from my side of the fence as a customer. I'm really just click, build, launch, consume, and I know it's going to do everything that I need it to do from a business modernization perspective.
And really, we're kind of looking at a shift towards what can I do for my application and what can I do for my product, and less of a shift towards what's new and interesting. So the broker itself, which we'll talk about shortly, is kind of moving a value line a little bit higher up towards what's my product, how do I enable my product, and not what are the pieces and parts that make up my product.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So we took a look and said, hey, if we were to kind of show the daunting amount of opportunity for somebody that's running and operating a platform and then a development team consuming services that might be offered by a platform, what would that look like? And we kind of came up with this just, brief little idea of what a reference architecture for an application platform would look like on AWS.
All of the building blocks as such, all of the things I'd need to put together to make sure I'm enterprise ready from the developer journey all the way through to production day to sort of operational aspects.
Yeah, and this isn't even encompassing like all of the potential services that a development community might want to consume and do so on a rapid pace.
And looking at it, so it's a short, concise list. It's something that every customer wants to go and build out themselves. Absolutely not. No, we've got better things to spend our time and money on. So talking to customers are are not attracted to building this out themselves. They want a turnkey solution that they can consume, and what they really want to focus on is building meaningful applications that will go to their customers, that value prop line that you called out. But notice over here, these are all of the building blocks for the platform in itself. It doesn't speak to what are the architectural components of the application. So there's even more here. What about the likes of databases, caching, messaging and queuing mechanisms? We still have developers building those components themselves and running it within these environments. And I think that's where we want to get that additional acceleration.
Yeah, so if we introduce Pivotal into this realm, and we see that Pivotal itself, the Pivotal platform, runs on top of a lot of the services that Amazon offers to our customers, we see this abstraction. And what that abstraction is doing is basically taking core services that deliver a platform out to a customer, putting on top of it a set of valued services that make it easier for developers to push code to production, get the routing, get the security, get all the goodness that they need in production, which is everybody's favorite place to deploy code to, but then sidecar in, through a service broker, those services that you were just talking about.
Correct, and not just sidecar them in terms of the ability to provision them, but do it in a prescriptive manner, so that I can have a developer consuming in AWS services like RDS relational database, but without having an intimate knowledge of all of the knobs and dials for how to work that service. I want to be able to do something programmatically in a very similar fashion to how I create an application on Cloud Foundry. Something along the lines of, create service, RDS, and then have a very, very truncated list of parameters to get that service up and running so I can consume it.
Yeah, and in doing so, the platform itself provides that marketplace that those development teams and those consumers of those services can actually go and browse and look at all of the different service plans, all of the different ways that they can consume the services, and the services that are actually being presented to them based upon their roles and their access.
And I think that's a valid point. We're not talking about unleashing developers in an uncontrolled fashion into an AWS account where they're going to run away with the business's expenditure or introduce potential security risks. This is controlled through the platform, so the developer takes advantage of role-based access control inside the Pivotal PaaS platform. We can control which services they interact with. The broker itself is the entity that is talking to AWS, processing those API calls. So there is a security separation. All of the services that are being built out through the broker are taking the organizations, these namespaces that are part of the Pivotal App PaaS platform, and those are embedded through tagging into the services. So we can do cost tracking, we can do, which business units spun up these resources, we can do chargebacks. But that being said, we're not talking about every single AWS service. There's a relatively small subset of these services that are meaningful to the applications that are being built. We started off with, I think, what was it, 18?
18 services on launch, and that launch was literally basically a year ago.
Yeah, so 18 services and a fair cross-section. There was some databases, some NoSQL, there was some caching, we got some object storage in the form of S3, we got Lex Poly from an AI/ML perspective, and customers came back to us and said, that's great, I want some more. So we added some more. We added in Cognito from an application security perspective. We got some feedback that customers wanted more around database engine variety, specifically the ones that are meaningful to financial institutions, the big enterprises, so Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server coming into the picture. We added in Elasticache and Elasticsearch, to really scale out those intelligent application builds. And it's not going to stop there. As we get more feedback from customers, this being an open source project, there's continuous interaction from the community as well as feedback from the community, and it's growing the capabilities of these integrations between AWS and Pivotal as well as the services that exist there.
Yeah, and I think it was actually really cool that at Spring One platform this year, we were able to basically walk customers through a workshop that you had created where they have a quick start version of the Pivotal platform on AWS that they could consume. The service broker was installed as part of that quick start, and you walked them through actually creating a application that via S3, put an object out into a bucket, and then the Poly service read that object and did a text-to-speech translation to it.
Yeah, and I think the most important part of that entire journey is it wasn't this labored switching between environments. It was literally a developer sitting in their literal development UI and passing commands that they're familiar with and being able to control all sides of the fence, but at the same time doing it in a secure, controlled manner that's meaningful to an enterprise customer. Right.
So one of the things that we really want to stress to everybody is this is a community project. This isn't a packaged software piece that's behind the gated community of a vendor. This is out on GitHub. This is a place where we, as builders, can go together and shape kind of the direction of what this product is going to be and how we want to use it. In fact, the list of 26 services that we currently have out and available through the service broker was all driven by issues and PRs that customers like you were putting into GitHub.
Yeah, and you know, we had some assumptions going in, and it was really great to see the community validate those assumptions. But from here on in, we really are building, in a very Amazonian way, a customer-centric, voice of the customer. Let's look at what the customer wants first. You mentioned the AWS Quick Start. That is yet another open source project where we're deploying the Pivotal Cloud Foundry or the PaaS platform on top of AWS. Again, open source and open to customers opening issues and providing feedback through that process, or even forking the project and making it their own.
Yeah, and we highly recommend that all of you, if you're interested in trying the Pivotal platform and the Amazon Service Broker, go out to AWS, look for the Pivotal Quick Start, launch the Quick Start, give it a try, and absolutely come on in, give us some help inside of the community making this service broker even better, and let us know if there's any way that we can make your journey to the cloud even easier.
Yeah, so big focus on easier and faster, bordering on lazy, I think. Yeah.
Ryan, thank you very much.
No, thank you. Always a pleasure to be here. Have a fantastic day for those of you who have joined us.
Thank you, everybody.